as the Israel-Hamas war drags into the sixth day, the death toll has risen to 2,500. The Palestinian Health Ministry says 1,200 people have been killed in Gaza in the Israeli strikes, while Israel endured a massive multi-pronged surprise attack from Hamas on Saturday, triggering another war. 1,300 people have been killed in Israel so far. In the latest, Israeli president has spoken about those abducted by Hamas, including young children, and also about the missing and killed foreign nationals. He said it is a fight which will be long drawn out campaign against Hamas.
One of my own advisors was mobilized to remove bodies. I spoke to him last night. He found a family of 5 together, hugging each other, shot and burned. Nothing can speak more than anything than this tragedy. I was wondering what they prayed before they were all shot together. Mother, father, children, babies. The injuries that were found on the bodies of the killed, the people, the removing teams, the rescue teams, which I met in the last 2 days, mostly in Sderot yesterday, found signs of torture on the bodies like anything they've ever seen in their life, and some of them are for decades dealing with pains of war and terror.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Israel in a show of solidarity with with Washington's closest ally in West Asia. Blinken has met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv to discuss further boosting military support to the country. He will also meet with the Palestinian and Jordan leaders in Amman on Friday. Hamas has reportedly fired a barrage of rockets at Tel Aviv in response to Israeli strikes. The group says strikes are in response to the Israeli attacks at refugee camps in Gaza. Meanwhile, Germany has extended its military support to Israel as well. The country's defense minister confirmed that Berlin will allow Israel to use 2 Heron drones that German Air Force has in use in the country. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has also called for an immediate end to hostilities, just like Vladimir Putin. He has blamed the U.S. for its role in the conflict. He said that the U.S. has been sabotaging the United Nations decision to create a Palestinian state. The Israeli defense minister has admitted that there were some unspecified indications but no major warnings the night before Hamas launched its massive attack. Senior intelligence officers reportedly discussed the signs on Friday night and agreed to continue the conversation in the morning. The Israeli forces were caught off guard. The attack was launched early on Saturday morning. The admission comes a day after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected reports of Egypt warning Israel of a big attack 3 days in advance. The Israeli Prime Minister vowed to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth shortly after forming an emergency unity government. Addressing the newly formed war cabinet, Benjamin Netanyahu declared, and I quote here, "Every Hamas member is a dead man." Netanyahu has temporarily settled his political differences by including centrist former Defense Minister Benny Gantz in his new government formed for the duration of the crisis. Israel has amassed thousands of troops, tanks and other heavy armor around Gaza as it executes a total siege in the Gaza Strip before launching a ground offensive, it says. The threat of a multi-front war is also looming large as Israel camp has come under fresh attacks on its northern borders from militant groups in neighboring Lebanon and Syria. Supplies are running low in the Gaza Strip, where power has gone out last evening after the only power station in the territory ran out of fuel. With this, all medical facilities risk going out of operation within days, triggering a greater humanitarian crisis. On the other hand, the U.S. President Joe Biden has made his first call for restraint over Israel's response to the Hamas attacks. He has urged Israel to abide by the rules of war, even as more arms and ammunition supplies from Washington have arrived in Israel. The U.S. confirmed at least 22 American citizens have been killed in this war. And well, for more on this, we're now being joined by Idan Rol, the former Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs of Israel. He served as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs under the administration of Yair Lapid. He's joining us from Jerusalem. Thank you, Idan Rol, for joining us on this live broadcast this afternoon. Let me begin by asking you, what are the next steps in this war? We know that your troops are amassing on the border. Are we looking at a full ground assault, or is a de-escalation negotiated by your allies possible?
I can't go into specifics about what's ahead as far as our attack on Hamas. I can certainly say that we are not about to witness any type of de-escalation. Hamas must pay the price for what it did to our civilians, for our people, for the hideous massacre that he performed in the southern part of Israel. We have seen entire villages destroyed and executed, raped and set on fire. We will retaliate with force like never before, and we will make sure that Hamas can no longer threat or attack the civilians of Israel. That is our duty, and we are fully prepared for it. So I cannot share the actual plans, but I can say that we are fully prepared to make sure that Hamas will pay the price, and that will be a game changer.
That will be a game changer, you're saying, but the fact is that you're saying that de-escalation at this point is not possible, but Antony Blinken has arrived in Israel, as America is still, of course, deploying its weapons in Israel. The German minister has supported you. The Saudi Prime Minister and Iran have had a phone conversation. The Arab League is asking for a ceasefire. If there is no de-escalation, are there concerns that this could be a regional crisis?
I think that the international community tries to refrain from a regional crisis. I do, however, think that when people look at the scheme of things in this region, they understand that everything is connected. I mean, it's a long-known fact that Iran uses different proxies in the region like Hezbollah and like Hamas and others in order to create chaos and to create terror attacks. And so I know that other nations in the world are concerned, and they are rightfully so. Terror doesn't distinguish between nationalities and races. Terror is not an Israeli problem. Hamas is just not an Israeli problem. We have to deal with Hamas to protect our people and our border, but other nations should take a close look, and President Biden said that himself. They understand not just because many other nationalities were murdered by Hamas this week, but also because Hamas is part of a chain of terror. And so we will do whatever it takes, but the people who arrive here, they arrive here like Secretary Blinken, they arrive here to stand by Israel. And I urge everyone, both public figures and politicians and civilians alike, to stand by Israel and understand that being a democracy, fighting terror with our tools of democracy and with our morality is a difficult thing, and we're doing the best we can to ensure the safety of people.
Right, but now that Israel has a unity government, what is the consensus on the next step forward in this war? Is the country rallying behind Netanyahu, or does he have many detractors, given the scale of the intel failure in this war as well?
So the thing about Israel is, and it never ceases to surprise me, despite having lived here, all my life, we know how to put differences of opinion aside, even the harshest ones, and to come together, even in this time. And Israel is united behind one cause only. We need to strike back Hamas and make sure that this doesn't happen again. We must make sure that Hamas can no longer be a threat to Israel. And everyone is behind this. So we're putting politics aside, and that's not an easy thing. I'm a politician, but we understand that That's the main goal, and that's the only goal right now. And I can assure you that after the war is over and we have won, and we will sit down and make sure that we investigate any possible flaw or mistake done by anyone in this country that is related to running this country or its security, national security, and we will make sure that we fix it. But right now, we need to take care.
But the fact is, Idan, there were tunnels that were dug. The Hamas paraglided into your territory. How did this happen?
I don't know yet. There are some initial investigations, obviously, because you need to do that right on the spot. But we are currently in the midst of war. We are securing back the border with Gaza and preparing to attack Hamas in a way that will change the equation. And so there will be time to learn everything that has happened, and everything has been recorded and everything is being protocoled. But right now, our people wants us to give them back the sense of security. Israel has always been the safest place on earth for Jews, and we don't intend for that to change.
Right.
The things that happened this week are the most horrendous acts of humanity attacks on Jews since the Holocaust. Some Holocaust survivors are now being held captive in the Gaza Strip and being abused. We will do whatever it takes, and every nation would have done this.
I do want to ask you, though, about that, the fact that you will go out strong against the Hamas. The Hamas has threatened to kill hostages if this, if the bombardment doesn't stop in Gaza. My other question to you is, how will you differentiate, civilian populations in Gaza from those that you're attacking, saying that they are Hamas's, there are people who belong to the Hamas who we are killing in Gaza?
Well, I can answer that from firsthand, from experience, because as part of my job as an Army Reserves officer, I sat in the rooms where they had to make the call last second before attacking. Are we attacking a target, a identified, well-known to us terrorist by Hamas? If there's someone or two people down the road, down that street, that are involved with terror. And I can't express to you how many times I've witnessed with my own eyes the military aborting attacks in order to safeguard people who are not involved with terror.
Will you allow a humanitarian corridor? We know that in Gaza as well, 1,000 civilians have been killed. And what does it do to your hostage crisis? I ask you this again, because if there is an escalation, what does it do to the hostages that are with the Hamas?
The hostage crisis is a terrible crisis, and it's too early within the stages of war to declare how it will unfold. And there are people that are in charge of that. I do think that the questions that should be asked by the international community is to condemn Hamas and tell them to release all of those hostages. May I remind you, they are not soldiers. They are innocent civilians, children, young mothers, elderly people, Holocaust survivors, people with disabilities. These are the ones who are being raped and are being kept in Gaza. So I think the question shouldn't be about what we will do, but rather telling Hamas and telling everyone associated with Hamas that they need to release them right away. And I will say...
Yes. There are unconfirmed reports, Iran, that the Hamas has released one woman and two children. Will you allow the Arab League or the Arab nations to broker some sort of middle ground here? I ask you this again.
As far as I know, this is a false report.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but this is what I know, that this is a false report, and I do believe it's a false report, judging from my experience. Look, we've had so many different rounds of war with Hamas. And I think the world every time talks about how they can help the people of Gaza, and many forget that we don't hold the Gaza Strip. We left the Gaza Strip under a big cost for us with people and lives in 2005. Hamas took over, held election, and these were the last elections to be held. Ever since, they have building tunnels of terror under schools, under hospitals, and under mosques. This is their tactics. This is their strategy. It's time for the world to say that, and you know, whoever is dealing with this on a daily basis, know that just a week before they attacked us, we made different concessions in favor of Gaza in order to stabilize the humanitarian aspect. It's time for Hamas to stop using them as human shields and stop bringing chaos upon the Gaza Strip. At the moment, I know one thing. We need to protect our people, and this means Hamas will pay the price so it can no longer attack us, fire missiles at us, or kidnap our people.
Right.
And I do have to say, you're talking to someone who has family in those villages where people were burnt down and executed, where young kids were executed. My family, my uncles, they were kept inside their bomb shelter for 2 whole days, some of them alone in each house, with Hamas terrorists roaming inside. They infiltrated their houses. Some of them got their houses set on fire by Hamas in order for them to leave the bomb shelters and get shot in the head.
Right.
These are things never to be witnessed before, even not by ISIS. The world must realize that.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, emotions are running high at the moment. And of course, all our prayers are with Israel at the moment and all those people who are losing their lives in this war. Idan Roll, former Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel, thank you very much for joining us. You say that there will be no de-escalation going forward. Hamas will pay the price, which will change the complexion of what happens in this region. Thanks very much indeed for joining us with your thoughts.
Thank you.